Hello friends, in this video I will be starting with the standards of professional conduct, and for this video the topic would be standard 1, professionalism. Now there are 7 standards to be studied. So before we begin, I would like to give you few tips. First one is that you need to know every standard's number and every standard's name, and also the content, which is but obvious. So we start with the first standard, which is known as professionalism, in front of you. There are 7 standards. So first standard is professionalism, and under that there are 4 sub standards now, so which will be 1A, 1B, 1C and 1D, and you need to remember all of these. Let's begin with the first sub standard, 1A, knowledge of the law. You need to remember the name and the number. 1A, knowledge of the law. First point says, follow the stricter law, CFA code and standards, or the local law. So basically what CFA members and candidates are required to do is that you need to follow the strictest law. For example, if your CFA code and standards say that you cannot engage into insider trading, but your local laws do not prohibit you, so you need to follow the stricter one. You need to follow the CFA code and standards. This is just an example, but you will come across some examples which we will be studying ahead. So point number 1, follow the stricter law. Second, when you see others violating a law or a standard, you must confront the individual involved, approach the supervisor or the compliance department. For example, you are working with an investment firm and there are some candidates in your team or your colleagues who are violating something. You know that they are trying to engage in a fraud or they are trying to mislead someone. What you must do is, first point, confront the individual. Go and talk to that person. Why is he or she violating it? If that does not work, second point, you need to go to the supervisor. Uske senior के पास जाओ and try to complain about it. And last point, if even that does not work, you must go to the compliance department of your firm. Every firm will have some common departments, like one would be finance department, one would be marketing department, one would be legal department or your compliance department. So you need to go there. Inaction or continued association is counted as participation. If you know about a violation and you don't do anything, even that is known as that you are also participating in that violation. So inaction, basically if you don't do anything, you are violating this standard. So you need to do something. What can you do? First step, confront the individual. Second step, go to his or her supervisor. Third step, go to the compliance department of your firm. Now, whenever in doubt, seek legal advice is the next point. So basically, now you can seek outside legal advice. If nothing is working out, go outside your firm and seek some legal advice. Last resort, if nothing is working out, last resort is disassociate from prohibited activity and document the same. See, if nothing is working out, you spoke to that individual who is violating, it did not work out. You went to his or her supervisor, did not work out. You went to the compliance department of your firm, it did not work out. You went outside to seek some legal advice, even that did not work out. Finally, what you have to do is disassociate from that activity. So whatever job it is, if some of your team members are violating, you need to disassociate from that activity, which means if you want to resign, you may resign from the job or you may just ask for another assignment. So either case you have to disassociate, and whenever you are disassociating, you need to document the same. Create papers, create working papers for the same, whatever info you have, whatever the violation is, etc., etc. Next point, there is no requirement under the standards to report violations to the government authorities. However, it is advisable to do so. So these code and standards are not actually mandating that you need to go and report it to the government, but it is advisable to do so. So if there is any violation, it is advisable that you go to the reporting authorities or the government authorities. Last point, members and candidates should make reasonable efforts to understand the applicable laws, both country and regional, for the countries and regions where their investment products are developed and most likely to be distributed to the clients. So basically, you need to know two kinds of laws. One is your country law or your national law, and one would be your regional law, which is in your state. Even in India, for example, there is something known as GST law now. So there is CGST and there is SGST, Central GST and State GST. So if someone is practicing GST, so CGST के लिए you need to know the national law. But for SGST, State GST, every state has made their own law. So you need to follow that. Similar to this, now there may be country laws or regional laws in two types of nations again. One is where your investment products are made, and one is where your investment products are distributed. So in every country, wherever you are operating, you need to know some laws. Now, last point is regarding a recommendation to the firms. Basically, your employer develop and slash or adopt a code of ethics. Either you develop and adopt it, or if you don't want to develop, you can just adopt a ready-made code of ethics from the CFA Institute's program. So code of ethics is nothing but which you saw in the last video, wo jo 6 points pada, that is the code of ethics. Next is provide info on applicable laws. These employers must provide info on the applicable laws, वरना employees को पता ही नहीं चलेगा what are the laws. So firms must do that. And last, establish procedures for reporting violations. See, this is known as whistleblowing. So basically, if you know that someone is violating a law, then you must know what is the procedure to actually report it to your employer or your compliance department or your supervisor. So whistleblowing procedures must be written down. Now let's solve some questions. So standard 1A, members and candidates who practice in multiple jurisdictions may be subject to varied securities laws and regulations. If applicable law is stricter than the requirements of code and standards, members and candidates must adhere to that applicable law otherwise. They must adhere to the code and standards otherwise. So basically, whichever is the stricter one, you need to adhere to that. The following chart provides illustrations involving a member who may be subject to securities laws and regulations in three types of countries. Now we have considered three types of countries. So first one is NS, country with no securities laws. LS, countries with less strict securities laws and regulations than the code and standards. And MS, which the country with more securities laws, or rather more strict securities laws and regulations than the code and standards. So even if we don't begin the example, you must be able to identify that in the first case, if there are no laws, which one will you follow? Code and standards. Because if there is no law, then you have to follow code and standards because it becomes automatically stricter. Second one, countries with less securities or less strict securities laws. Now in this case, again, you will have to follow code and standards because your local laws are less strict. And last one, country with more strict laws. So now here you will have to follow the local law because that is stricter than your code and standards. Okay. Now let's try to understand. There are three columns here. First one is applicable law. Second is the duties and the explanation for the same. All in all, you need to know that you have to follow the stricter law. First case, member resides in NS country and does business in LS country. Now, you are a member, you are residing in a country where there are no securities laws, but you are doing business in that country where there is LS, less strict laws compared to your code and standards. And LS law applies to you? This will be given in the question. You are residing in NS, you are doing business in LS, and LS law applies to you. Now, what you need to do here is LS, it is applying to you, versus your code and standards. Which one is stricter? Less strict, matlab LS. So of course, code is the stricter one. So in duties, it is written members must adhere to code and standards. So this is the first conclusion. Whichever is stricter, you need to follow that. Second example, member resides in NS country, does business in MS country, and MS law applies. So now you are residing in no securities law wala country, and you are doing business in a country where there are more strict laws compared to your code and standards. So in this case, if MS law applies, so MS law versus your code and standards, of course MS is the stricter one here, so more strict wala law will be applicable to you. So members must adhere to these laws and not the code of standards. So basically ये जो code and standards है, it is not that you need not follow it, you have to follow it definitely, but more strict law must be adhered to. So basically, if code and standard says that you need to do X and your more strict law says you need to do Y, then you need to do Y. So follow the stricter one. Third example, member resides in LS country and does business in NS country, and LS law applies. Basically now you are residing in a country with less strict laws. I'm doing business in a country with no strict laws, or no laws for that matter, and LS security law applies. So less strict law wala apply करता है. So LS versus your code of standards. अभी कोड एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स और लोकल लेस स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ कंपेयर किया तो स्ट्रिक्टर विल बी कोड एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स. फोर्थ एग्जांपल, member resides in LS country, does business in MS country, MS law applies. You are staying in a country with less strict laws, doing business in a country with more strict laws. More strict law applies to you. So MS versus code and standards. So adhere to MS country ka law, which is more strict compared to your code. Next example, member resides in LS country, less strict law wala, does business in NS country, no securities law wala. LS law applies, your less strict law is applying, but it states that law of locality where business is conducted governs. LS law says that you need to follow the law where you are doing the business. So now LS says that you need to follow NS. Now if LS is saying that you need to follow NS, तो NS आ जाएगा versus your code and standards. So no securities law versus code, of course code is the stricter. So whatever you're going to study in these 7 standards, that will be the stricter one as compared to a country having no securities laws. Next, member resides in LS country, less strict law, does business in MS country, which is more strict law. LS local law applies. This is given in the question that you are staying in a country with less strict laws, you are doing business in a country with more strict laws, but your local less strict law is applying to you, and it states that law of locality where the business is conducted governs. Now LS, which is applying to you, it says that you need to follow the law of the country in which you are doing business. मतलब LS बोलता है follow MS. So MS versus code. अभी MS मतलब more strict law compared to the code, and that is why law of MS country will win. So you need to follow law of MS country now, which is stricter one compared to your code and standards. Next, member resides in MS country, does business in LS country, MS law applies. So now you are residing in a country with more strict law and you are doing business in a country with less strict law. MS law applies, more strict wala law applies. So MS versus code and standards. Follow the law of MS country, more strict country. Next, member resides in MS country, does business in LS country. MS law applies, more strict law वाला उसको apply करता है, but it states that law of locality where the business is conducted governs. More strict law which is applying to this candidate says that you need to follow the LS law where you are doing the business. LS मतलब less strict वाला. So now less strict law versus code. Of course, code and standards will have to be followed because it is stricter than the LS law. Next, member resides in MS country, does business in LS country with a client who is a citizen of LS country, and MS law applies. You are staying in a more strict law wala country, you are doing business in less strict law wala country, and your client is a citizen of that less strict law country. MS law applies, more strict law जो है that is applying to you, but it states that law of citizen or the client's home country governs. अब client का home country कौन सा है? तो LS, less strict law वाला country. So in this case, LS will be considered because your more strict law which is applying to you says that. So LS versus your code and standards. Code and standards will have to be adhered to. All in all, you need to know the law which is stricter amongst your local law and your code and standards that will be applicable, so that you need to follow. And don't worry which law is applying to this citizen, now that will be given in the question because we are no law experts. So whatever you saw in the first column कि वो NS में रहता है, LS में रहता है, MS में, whatever, that all will be given in the question, so you need not worry about that. Now let's see some examples. Before starting with the examples, now in your exam you know that MCQs will be asked, but to crack these MCQs you need to know what are the violations and what are not. So to know what is ethical, what is unethical, you need to understand these examples very well. So let's begin. Application of standard 1A. Now whatever you studied in 1A you will be applying it here. Problem 1. Michael Allen works for a brokerage firm. Now what is a brokerage firm? Basically you are buying and selling on behalf of your clients just like your normal brokerage firms, and they also provide some research advice or tips regarding what stocks to buy, what stocks to hold, and what to sell. So Michael Allen works for a brokerage firm and is responsible for underwriting of securities. What do you mean by underwriting of securities? If some firm is coming up with an IPO, initial public offering, and it wants to sell 1 crore shares in the public, so these underwriters are basically going to sell these securities to the market. Now, if for example 1 crore shares nahi bika, for example it has sold only 90 lakh shares, so underwriters may have to buy the 10 lakh shares by themselves. So that is what an underwriter does. Underwriter is nothing but it is like a broker or an agent which helps you sell your shares. A company official gives Allen information indicating that financial statements Allen filed with the regulator overstate the issuer's earnings. Now ओवरस्टेटिंग द इशूअर्स अर्निंग मतलब जो ये आईपीओ लाने वाला है उसका अर्निंग्स, और इन अदर वर्ड्स आई कैन से नेट इनकम. इफ यू हैव स्टडीड एफआरए you know net income or your net profit. Earnings are overstated. If your company made a profit of 1 million but you have overstated it, you said that it is 1.5 million. Basically this is window dressing. You are trying that your company looks good in the eyes of the public and therefore you are showing higher profits. Basically you are trying to manipulate something here. Allen seeks advice of the brokerage firm's general counsel. General counsel is basically your lawyers or advocates or your compliance department, who states that it would be difficult for the regulator to prove that Allen has been involved in any wrongdoing. See, now all in all you need to know the story first. What has happened here? एक कंपनी का ऑफिशियल है, ऑफिशियल और ऑफिसर वट एवर यू से, ऑफिशियल ने एलन को इन्फो दिया that issuers earnings have been overstated. ये जो net income होता है, it has been overstated. Now Alan goes to the compliance department. Compliance department क्या बोलता है that ये जो भी overstate किया ना earnings, the regulator will not be able to prove it. Basically, if you are in India, SEBI जो है, it is a regulator, or your National Stock Exchange or Bombay Stock Exchange. Basically, this person is trying to say that your National Stock Exchange or your SEBI will not come to know about this. They won't be able to prove that your net income has been overstated. Now, this is the question. Now, in this case, what should Michael Allen do? So, in 1A, they've written that it is not compulsory to report it, but it is advisable to do so. And basically here, in this case, if Michael Allen has prepared this report, then he definitely has to disassociate from this report, because there is some violation or manipulation or fraud going on. So this is how the story will be formed in your question, and then you will be given 3 options. Now here we don't have 3 options, but we will understand that what he must do or what he must not do. Comment: although it is recommended that members and candidates seek the advice of the legal counsel, the reliance on such advice does not absolve the member or a candidate from requirement to comply with the law or regulation. Allen should report this situation to his supervisor, seek independent legal opinion, and determine whether the regulator should be notified of the error. See, now you studied, while you read 1A, you saw first step is to confront the individual, go to the supervisor, go to the compliance department, seek outside legal advice. If nothing is happening, उसके बाद लास्ट स्टेप क्या था? डिसएसोसिएट. नाउ इन दिस क्वेश्चन कंप्लायंस डिपार्टमेंट को तुमने जाके बोल दिया. ओके, कंप्लायंस डिपार्टमेंट क्या बोलता है? इट विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर दिस रेगुलेटर टू प्रूव इट. Now, if you go to the compliance department and he gives you that reply, have you complied this standard by just going to the compliance department and hearing that reply? No, now you need to take action as well. If the compliance department says that, what is the next step you can do? You can go to the supervisor, you can seek outside legal advice or independent legal advice, and then decide whether to report this to the regulator or not. And in the MCQ, if this answer is given, it is definitely the right one. If this is not given, and if there is some other option which says that he needs to report it to the regulator or report it to your supervisor, whatever it is the right one. So always remember that you have to select the most appropriate one. So out of A, B and C, एक आंसर जो सबसे ज्यादा appropriate है, you need to choose that, and not the one in which you see only one compliance. Like for example, option A says you need to report it to your supervisor. Option B says you need to seek outside legal opinion. And option C says you can either go to the supervisor or seek outside legal opinion, or then you may actually report it to your regulator or whatever the case is. Now in this case, A and B are definitely right, but C जो है वो क्या है? Most appropriate. So you need to select it that way. Now problem 2. Lawrence Brown's employer, an investment banking firm, is a principal underwriter for an issue of convertible debentures by Courtney Company. Brown discovers that Courtney Company has concealed severe third quarter losses in its foreign operations. The preliminary prospectus has already been distributed. Now, in the first example, you saw that someone has overstated their earnings. ये प्रॉफिट ज्यादा दिखाया था. नाउ इन दिस केस दे हैव कंसील्ड देयर लॉसेस. नाउ दे आर शोइंग लेस अमाउंट ऑफ losses. So now there is manipulation, there is fraud going on, and they have already distributed the prospectus. So now what can Mr. Brown do? Now in this case, try to understand whatever is given in the MCQ. Definitely you will read the three options, but if there are no options given, what can he do? So the first thing what he can do is he can go to the supervisor, he can go to the compliance department. Whatever you studied in this standard, definitely he can do. But one thing worth noting here is that when they have started distributing the prospectus, if midway he comes to know about this, he will have to stop distributing that prospectus. Now once the prospectus has been distributed, he will have to take some measures to actually try to correct it. अब ये corrected prospectus भी distribute करवाना पड़ेगा. So depending on what is given in the options, you need to select the most appropriate one. Comment: knowing that the preliminary prospectus is misleading, Brown should report his findings to the appropriate supervisory person in his firm. If the matter is not remedied and Brown's employer does not disassociate or dissociate from the underwriting, Brown should sever all his connections with the underwriting. Sever is basically disassociate, or basically quit that assignment. Brown should also seek legal advice to determine whether additional reporting or action should be taken. समझा? तो जो तुमने पढ़ा है स्टैंडर्ड में, एवरीथिंग यू हैव टू अप्लाई. गो टू द सुपरवाइजर, गो टू द कंप्लायंस डिपार्टमेंट, गो टू दिस लीगल एडवाइजर्स आउटसाइड योर फर्म. This is independent legal advice. Basically, you need to know if you have to actually report this to any regulator or not. Now, for that, you need to seek some legal opinion. And अगर कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, तो they've written sever all the connections with the underwriting. Disassociate yourself from this assignment. Basically, you need to try to get away from this assignment and get some other assignment, or if nothing is working out, you may have to leave your job also. So whatever is the most appropriate, you need to select that. Example 3. Kamisha Washington's firm advertises its past performance record by showing the 10-year return of a composite of its clients' accounts. Composite is basically a collection of all the investments, and then they present it as if this is a one client. So basically a collection of all the client accounts, and then they make it a composite just to show the performance of that composite or the collection of your clients. Washington discovers, however, that the composite omits the performance of accounts that have left the firm during the 10-year period, whereas description of the composite indicates that inclusion of all firm accounts. So basically 10 years का performance तुमने किसी को दिखाया है, and you say that all the firm accounts have been included in these 10 years का performances, but reality में what you have done is you have omitted the performance of those clients which left you during that 10-year period. This omission has led to inflated performance figure. Washington is asked to use promotional material that includes erroneous performance number when soliciting business for the firm. See, now what has happened here, just try to understand. Now this firm has various clients. First client got a return of 10, second got a return of 12, third got a loss of 5%, then 4% का profit, loss of 10%, profit of 30%. Now this happened over last 10 years. Now when you are calculating the average return for this composite, this collection, what you do is ये जो -5 वाला है, ये क्लाइंट तुमको छोड़ के चला गया था, ये जो -10 वाला है, ये क्लाइंट तुमको छोड़ के चला गया था. So what you do is while calculating the average, you omit these two, but you say that all the accounts have been covered here. So basically अगर तुम्हारा रिटर्न जो एवरेज रिटर्न है For example, I am not calculating this, but for example, if it had to come to 10%, now you have shown it as 18%. For example, this means that the performance has been inflated here or overstated here. Now, this is also known as survivorship bias or backfill bias. बेसिकली जो भी सर्वाइवर्स है, जो भी अच्छे अच्छे प्रॉफिट वाले क्लाइंट्स है, दे आर ओनली इंक्लूडेड इन दिस प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेशन. नाउ दिस सर्वाइवरशिप बायस एंड ऑल यू विल बी स्टडीइंग इन ऑल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. नाउ ये जो 18% का रिटर्न है, एवरेज रिटर्न, दैट इज यूज्ड टू सॉलिसिट न्यू क्लाइंट्स, टू गेट न्यू क्लाइंट्स. एंड ये जो 18% जो मटेरियल में लिखा है, जो एडवर्टीजमेंट में लिखा है, दैट has been handled by Washington. So Washington has to use this promotional material. What must Washington do here? Now again, you cannot use the erroneous performance results in your promotional material. So what can you do? Again, the story goes on. So first you can go to your supervisor, you can go to the compliance department, or you can actually disassociate yourself from this activity. Comment: misrepresenting performance is a violation of code and standards. Although she did not calculate the performance herself, Washington would be assisting in violating 1A if she were to use the inflated performance number when soliciting clients. Basically, even if she has not calculated this overstated figure, if she uses this to solicit clients, she is violating this standard. She must dissociate or disassociate herself from the activity. If discussing the misleading number with the person responsible is not an option for correcting the problem, she can bring the situation to the attention of her supervisor or compliance department at her firm. If her firm is unwilling to recalculate the performance, she must refrain from using the misleading promotional material and should notify the firm of her reasons. If the firm insists that she use the material, she should consider whether her obligation to dissociate from the activity requires her to seek other employment. So basically, if you go to your employer and your employer does not agree, वो बोलता है कि you have to use this promotional material which has erroneous figures, then you might have to even quit the job. So either you dissociate from this activity, and if they are not agreeing to it, you might have to disassociate from the company itself. Example 4. James Collins is an investment analyst for a major Wall Street brokerage firm. He works in a developing country with rapidly modernizing economy and growing capital market. Local securities laws are minimal in form and content. बेसिकली ये जो लोकल सिक्योरिटीज लॉज है वो LS लग रहा है. इफ यू रिमेंबर, लेस स्ट्रिक्ट लॉज, मिनिमल इन फॉर्म एंड कॉन्टेक्ट, एंड इंक्लूड नो प्यूनिटिव प्रोहिबिशंस अगेंस्ट इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग. सो ये जो लोकल लॉ है वो इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग के अगेंस्ट कुछ भी नहीं बोलता है. देयर आर नो प्रोहिबिशंस और देयर आर नो पेनल्टीज अगेंस्ट इट. Now that you know that this is LS versus your code and standards, so of course you have to follow the code and standards. Code and standards are a bit stricter than your local law because it is very minimal and it does not have insider trading penalties. Collins must abide by the requirements of the code and standards, which might be more strict than the rules of the developing country. He should be aware of the risks that a small market and absence of fairly regulated flow of info to the market represent to his ability to obtain info and make timely judgments. He should include this factor in formulating his advice to the clients. In handling material non-public info that accidentally comes into his possession, he must follow standard 2A also. 2A is basically a standard for insider trading using that material non-public information. So we will be studying that soon. But here, try to understand that he has to follow the code and standards and not the local law. Local law बोलता है that insider trading is not prohibited. You can do insider trading. But of course, code and standards are much more stricter. So you need to follow standard 2A here rather than following that local law, which is not actually prohibiting the insider trading. Example 5. Following the highest requirements, Laura Jameson works for a multinational investment advisor based in the United States. Jameson lives and works as a registered investment advisor in the tiny but wealthy island of Karamba. Karamba's securities law state that no investment advisor registered and working in that country can participate in IPOs, initial public offerings, for the advisor's personal account. Basically, if you are a financial advisor, you cannot participate in the IPO. Jameson, believing that as a US citizen working for a US based company, she should comply only with the US law, has ignored this Colombian law. In addition, Jameson believes that as a charter holder, as long as she adheres to the code and standards requirement, that she disclose her participation in any IPO to her employer and clients when such ownership creates a conflict of interest, she is meeting the highest ethical requirements. Now try to understand what is. Now, ये जो business है, that is US, because she is working for a multinational investment advisor which is based in the US. But in the second line it is given, Jameson lives and works as a registered investment advisor in a tiny nation of Karamba. So residence would be Karamba. अब यूएस का लॉ कुछ और बोलता है, करम्बा का कुछ और बोलता है, एंड कोड एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स कुछ और बोलता है. First, code and standards, you need to know that there are standards ahead which will say that if you are participating in an IPO, you need to actually disclose it to your clients as well as your employer. Okay. So this will be versus code and standards. Now, you know that in this standard 1A, you have to follow the stricter law. But Jameson says that as long as she adheres to the code and standards, she is not violating anything. But as you know that in this case, you have to follow the stricter law. Now, ये जो करम्बा वाला है, no investment advisor registered in that country or working in that country cannot actually go for IPOs. So she has to follow the stricter one. So IPO वाला जो है करम्बा का law, that has to be followed. Comment: Jameson is in violation of Standard 1A. As a registered investment advisor in Karamba, Jameson is prevented by Colombian securities law from participating in IPOs, regardless of the law of her home country. In addition, because the law of the country where she is working is stricter than the code and standards, she must follow the stricter requirements of the local law. Basically, ये जो local law है वो MS है, more strict versus your code and standards. So she has to follow the Colombian law here. Next, problem 6. Amanda Janey is employed as a fixed income portfolio manager for a large international firm. She is on a team within her firm that is responsible for creating and managing a fixed income hedge fund to be sold throughout the firm's distribution centers to high net worth clients. Her firm receives expression of interest from potential clients from the Middle East who are seeking investments that comply with the Islamic law. The marketing and promotional materials for the fixed income hedge fund do not specify whether or not the fund is suitable investment for investors seeking compliance with the Islamic law. So basically ये जो hedge fund है उसका promotional material या prospectus है उसमें ये नहीं लिखा है किधर भी whether it is complying with the Islamic law or not. Because the fund is being distributed globally, Jane is concerned about the reputation of the fund and the firm and believes disclosure of whether or not the fund complies with Islamic law could help minimize potential mistakes with placing this investment. So basically what is happening here that it is trying to market this fixed income hedge fund globally, and it wants to know कि ये Islamic law का compliance हुआ है या नहीं है, or whether it is required to actually be disclosed or not. Comment: as the financial market continues to become globalized, members and candidates will need to be aware of differences between cultural and regional laws and requirements, as well as different governmental laws and regulations. Jani and the firm could be proactive in their efforts to acknowledge areas where the new fund may not be suitable for clients. So basically, they need to take some effort to make it either suitable or not for their clients and disclose that. तो अगर ये इस्लामिक लॉ को कंप्लाई नहीं करता है, try to mention that also so that the clients know whether it is suitable for them or not. Problem 7. Krista Bloom is a junior portfolio manager for high net worth portfolios at a large global investment manager. She observes a number of new portfolios and relationships coming from a country in Europe where the firm did not have previous business and is told that a broker in that country is responsible for this new business. At a meeting on allocation of research resources to third-party research firms, Bloom notes that this broker has been added to the list and is allocated payments for research. अभी ये थर्ड पार्टी रिसर्च एसोसिएट क्या होता है, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. इफ यू आर एन इन्वेस्टमेंट मैनेजर, you are managing your client's money and you need some broker for that or some researcher for that. तो ये जो थर्ड पार्टी रिसर्च फॉर्म्स होता है, they are basically into equity research or any kind of asset research, and they provide some recommendations to you, and then you provide your client with that stock in their portfolio through some broker or anyone. However, she knows the portfolios do not invest in securities in the broker's country, and she has not seen any research come from this broker. तो बेसिकली ये जो ब्रोकर है, ये ब्रोकर से अभी तक कुछ भी रिसर्च नहीं आया है. Bloom asks her supervisor about the name being on the list and is told that someone is marketing or someone in marketing is receiving the research and that the name being on the list is okay. तो बेसिकली ये जो नाम है लिस्ट पे, उसके बारे में ब्लूम is asking her supervisor and is told that someone in the marketing is receiving the research and that name being on the list is okay. मतलब ये जो नाम है लिस्ट पे वो okay है. She believes that what may be going on is that the broker is being paid for new business through the inappropriate research payments and wishes to disassociate or dissociate from this misconduct. First of all, try to understand what is this story. Now, it is written that ये जो third party है from Europe, उसके through बहुत सारे clients आए हैं. There is a lot of business coming in, but they state that this third party has been actually providing some research. But when Krista Bloom actually tried to understand what is going on, ये जो research है शायद उसने किया ही नहीं है. ये जो थर्ड पार्टी है उसने ये रिसर्च किया ही नहीं है. एंड इवन शी आस्क्ड हर सुपरवाइजर ने बोला कि हाँ ये तो रिसर्च करता है एंड दैट रिसर्च रिपोर्ट हैज बीन गिवन टू समवन इन द मार्केटिंग टीम. मतलब कि कुछ भी देयर इज नथिंग कॉन्क्रीट हियर, इट सीम्स टू बी सस्पिशियस हियर. एंड ये जो ब्रोकर को जो पैसा पे किया है, दैट इज इन द नेम ऑफ रिसर्च पेमेंट्स. बेसिकली रिसर्च किया नहीं होगा शायद, इसने सिर्फ क्लाइंट्स लाके दिए और आप ये ब्रोकर को पेमेंट दे रहे हो, बट यू आर स्टेटिंग इट एज रिसर्च पेमेंट विच इज रॉन्ग. So in this case, you cannot pay someone to actually get you clients. That was the thing. Basically, third party in Europe is acting like an agent based on commission or brokerage, but it is not a researcher in this case. So what must Bloom do? So again, the answer is the same. go to the supervisor or your compliance department, or just follow your firm policy. You have to report it to someone, etc., etc. Bloom should follow the firm's policies and procedures for reporting potential unethical activity, which may include discussion with her supervisor or someone in the designated compliance department. She should communicate her concerns appropriately while advocating for disclosure between new broker relationship and research payments. तो ये जो नया ब्रोकर है, क्या वो एक्चुअली रिसर्च प्रोवाइड कर रहा है या नहीं, यू विल हैव टू dig into it. You will have to research a lot about it. You will have to actually uncover what is going on. So either go to the supervisor or to the compliance department, or follow your firm's policy and report it. Problem 8. Colleen White is excited to use new technology to communicate with the clients and potential clients. She recently began posting investment info, including performance reports and investment opinions and recommendations, to her Facebook page. In addition, she sends out brief announcements, opinions, and thoughts via Twitter account. For example, prospects for future growth of XYZ company look good. Hashtag making money for you. Prior to White's use of these social media platforms, the local regulator had issued new requirements and guidance covering online electronic communication. White's communication appeared to conflict with the recent regulatory announcements. So basically, your local regulator must have issued some guidelines कि भाई ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सोशल मीडिया पे आप ये नहीं पोस्ट कर सकते, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. And whatever Colleen White has done on Facebook and Twitter, it is contradicting, it is conflicting with this law. Basically, she has broken the law. So ये case में definitely she has violated standard 1A. Comment: White is in violation of standard 1A because her communications do not comply with the existing guidance and regulation governing the use of social media. White must be aware of evolving legal requirements pertaining to new and dynamic areas of the financial services industry that are applicable to her. She should seek guidance from appropriate, knowledgeable, and reliable sources such as her firm's compliance department, external service providers, or outside counsel or outside legal advice, unless she diligently follows legal and regulatory trends affecting her professional responsibilities. So basically, ये तो violation तो हुआ ही है, but how can she stop violating it? So before posting anything on social media, she could have consulted her supervisor or firm's compliance department, etc., etc. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned to eKida and subscribe to eKida.